My daughter wished she got a kidney from someone who matters. Christmas was supposed to be perfect. Lights twinkling, champagne in hand, laughter echoing through the hall. But nothing about this night was going as planned. Living room. Family Christmas party. Her voice was tight, almost trembling. "What are you doing here? It's Christmas. Family time, remember?" I stepped closer. Trevor appeared at her elbow, tall, polished, perfect in a tuxedo, the kind of man who seemed to belong in magazines. "Mr. Thompson, what a surprise," Trevor greeted me. Abigail's face flushed. I could see her mind racing, calculating how to minimize the disruption, how to regain control. "Dad, maybe we could step into the kitchen for a moment?" she tried. I shook my head gently. "Actually, I'd love to meet some of your friends first. You've told me so much about them." Her panic was barely concealed. She tried to force a smile, paint on perfection. But that smile hid fear, not joy. And then Margaret Ashford entered the room. An elegant woman in her 60s, poised, confident, with a voice that could command a boardroom and charm a dinner party at the same time. Abigail's mother, Trevor's mother, old money, old power, and someone who never called anyone darling without meaning it. "Abigail, darling, aren't you going to introduce us?" Abigail hesitated. A bead of sweat formed on her temple. "Of course, Margaret. This is my father, Paul Thompson." I extended my hand. Margaret grasped it firmly. "Paul, what wonderful to finally meet you. Abigail talks about you constantly." I noticed Abigail's eyes widening. Surprised, almost horrified. "Does she?" I said lightly, masking the storm behind my calm. "That's, nice to hear." "Oh, yes," Margaret said warmly. "She's always talking about how proud she is of this beautiful home, how hard she's worked to create this lifestyle." I glanced around the room, taking in the immaculate decor, the sparkling chandeliers, the festive tables. "It is a beautiful house, isn't it? Exquisite. Abigail has such sophisticated taste. You must be proud of how successful she's become, building all this on her own." Abigail froze, the color draining from her face. "Actually," I said conversationally, "I am proud, though I wouldn't say she built it entirely on her own." Margaret tilted her head, intrigued. "Oh, well, tell me more." "Well, there was the kidney transplant a few years back. That was a team effort." The room went silent. Abigail's smile faltered. Her eyes widened in terror. "Kidney transplant?" "Abigail never mentioned that," Margaret said softly. "8 years ago," I continued, "she was dying of kidney failure. I donated one of mine. Perfect match, thank goodness." The silence was palpable. A pin could have dropped and shattered the tension. Abigail was pale as the reality sunk in, not just for her, but for everyone around us. "Abigail," Margaret said, softly but firmly, "you never told us you'd had health issues. It was a long time ago," she whispered. "Not that long ago," I said with the calmness of someone revealing the truth that needed to be heard. "The recovery was quite something. Abigail bounced back beautifully, but the donor recovery is a bit more complicated. My remaining kidney works overtime now. That's why I seem tired sometimes." Trevor frowned, confused. "You told us your dad had some kind of chronic condition." "Well, technically, that's true.
Reduced kidney function is chronic, though I wouldn't call it a condition so much as a consequence of choice. Margaret looked at me, her expression shifting from curiosity to awe. "Mr. Thompson, you gave your daughter your kidney? Wouldn't you? For your child? Of course. But Abigail, why didn't you ever mention this incredible sacrifice?" Abigail looked trapped, a deer in headlights. We don't really talk about it much." Margaret's voice softened, shocked. "But this man saved your life." I let the weight of the moment hang. This was more than just a Christmas party. This was the beginning of a reckoning, the first crack in a perfectly polished facade. And Abigail knew, deep down, that everything she had built on lies, charm, and social standing was about to face the truth. The room had gone silent. Guests watched, unsure whether to intervene. Abigail's carefully crafted life was unraveling, one revelation at a time. And this was just the beginning. The Christmas party explodes as secrets about the house and the kidney come to light. Abigail's panic reaches new heights, and her friends are about to witness a confrontation they'll never forget.
Christmas party chaos. My daughter's lies unravel in front of everyone. The room was tense. Every guest was watching, champagne glasses frozen mid-air, as Abigail's carefully constructed world began to crumble. The secret she'd been guarding for years was now exposed, and it was about to get worse. "Abigail, darling, aren't you going to introduce us properly?" Margaret asked again, her eyes sharp and assessing. Abigail forced a smile, shaky and artificial. "Of course. Margaret, this is my father, Paul Thompson." I extended my hand and smiled politely. "Paul, how wonderful to finally meet you. Abigail talks about you constantly." The subtle panic on Abigail's face grew. She hadn't anticipated me being so calm. "Does she?" I asked lightly. "Oh yes, she's always talking about how proud she is of this beautiful home, how hard she's worked to create this lifestyle." I nodded toward the room. "It is a beautiful house, isn't it? Exquisite. Abigail has such sophisticated taste. You must be proud of how successful she's become, building all this on her own." Abigail's eyes widened, pale, terrified. "Actually," I said conversationally, "I am proud, though I wouldn't say she built it entirely on her own." Margaret raised an eyebrow. "Oh, well, do tell." "Well, there was the kidney transplant a few years back. That was a team effort." The room went silent. Abigail's painted-on smile faltered. Everyone turned to her. "Kidney transplant?" someone murmured. 8 years ago, she was dying of kidney failure. I donated one of mine. Perfect match." Gasps, pin-drop silence. Abigail froze, terrified. Her friends, her social circle, even Trevor looked shocked. "Abigail never mentioned that," Margaret whispered. "Not that long ago. The recovery was intense. Abigail bounced back beautifully, but donor recovery is more complicated. My remaining kidney works overtime now. That's why I seem tired sometimes." Trevor frowned, puzzled. "You told us your dad had some kind of chronic condition." "Well, technically," I smiled, "that's true. Reduced kidney function is chronic, but more a consequence of choice than illness." Margaret's expression shifted from curiosity to awe. "Mr. Thompson, you gave your daughter your kidney? For her?" "Of course," I said calmly. "But Abigail, why didn't you ever mention this sacrifice?" Abigail's voice barely a whisper. We don't really talk about it." "Abigail, dear," Margaret, genuinely shocked. "Your daughter saved your life." Abigail's face was pale, trapped. She realized the truth was out and everyone could see it. "Actually," I continued before Abigail could speak, "I helped with the house, too." "Helped how?" Trevor asked, confusion rising. "I bought it," I said simply. The room froze. Margaret's eyes widened. You bought it? Yes, I said. 2.5 million, March 2018. Abigail needed a nicer place, somewhere suitable for entertaining friends like yours. I took out a mortgage. Trevor's jaw tightened. She told us she had a mortgage? She does. It's just not in her name. Abigail, Dad, please. Oh, I'm sorry. I looked around with curiosity. Are these details too personal? I just assumed that since it's a family gathering, your friends would know about your family. Margaret stared at Abigail, confusion and disappointment mixed in her gaze. Abigail, dear, your daughter bought you this house. It's complicated, Abigail whispered weakly. No, it's simple, I said firmly. I wanted my daughter to have a beautiful home, so I bought one. Any father would do the same. But you don't actually live here. Trevor's father stepped in. Oh no, I live across town, one-bedroom apartment, much more suitable for a maintenance worker's budget. Maintenance worker? Margaret asked, surprised. Trevor told us you were in construction management. I was before the surgery. Hard to manage construction crews when you need afternoon naps. Abigail's gaze dropped to the floor. The polished, confident mask was gone. Margaret shook her head, impressed but confused. That's wonderful. Not that you had to leave your career, but wonderful that you made these sacrifices, the kidney, the house, your career. Abigail, you're so fortunate to have a devoted father. Abigail's eyes showed something new, cold, calculating. Yes, lucky me. And then the words that would change everything. Sometimes I think I won the genetic lottery, getting someone so willing to sacrifice everything, even when nobody asked him to. Margaret looked shocked. Trevor uncomfortable. Champagne glasses hovered mid-air as the room braced itself. I mean, it's wonderful having a father who's invested in making sure everyone knows about his sacrifices. The words hit me like a physical blow. I looked at her, calm, unshaken. Abigail, that's exactly what I needed to hear. Before she could react, I pulled out my phone and made a call. The room fell silent. Tom, it's Paul. Yeah, I'm at the house now. Move forward with everything tonight. Abigail's face went white. Dad, what are you doing? I ended the call calmly. Something I should have done a long time ago. The seeds of chaos had been planted. Abigail's perfect Christmas was over. The truth about the house, the mortgage, and Abigail's lies was now out, and the confrontation with Trevor and his family was about to reach a boiling point. The house, the mortgage, and Abigail's lies explode at the party, shocking everyone, and the first steps toward real consequences begin. I sold my daughter's $2.5 million house in 2 weeks. Christmas party shock. The tension in the room was unbearable. Abigail's carefully crafted life was unraveling before everyone's eyes. The truth about the house, the kidney, and the sacrifices she'd taken for granted was no longer a secret, and the consequences were about to hit hard. Abigail's panic was palpable. Dad, please, we can work this out. I understand, I said calmly, but I'm not upset. I'm enlightened. Her voice cracked. Enlightened? About what? About the truth, Abigail. About who you really are when nobody's watching, and about how you treat the people who love you. Trevor stepped forward, confused. Abigail, is this really happening? Abigail looked at me, desperation in her eyes. Explain what? Explain the lies, the house, your success, your so-called independence. You told Trevor your father was just a maintenance worker struggling with health problems. Yet here I am, standing in front of everyone, the real story finally out. Margaret Ashford's eyes narrowed. Abigail, this is shocking. I know, she whispered, tears welling. Abigail, the house is in my name. Mortgage, insurance, property taxes, all of it. You live here, but you don't own a thing. Her face went pale. Dad, you can't be serious about selling it. Why not?
I asked, calm. You told me you wished you'd gotten that kidney from someone who matters. Well, someone who matters should be able to take back their property. The guests watched, frozen. Trevor's jaw tightened. Abigail, you told us your father was struggling. Who bought your $2.5 million house? He did, she said quietly, almost inaudible. Exactly, I said. And whose mortgage payments have been funding your lifestyle for 6 years? Yours? No, mine. Her voice trembled. Dad, please, you can't. I can, I said firmly, and I will. The new owners take possession January 15th. That's 30 days, 4 weeks, to make independent choices. But Dad, where am I supposed to go? I can't afford anything in this area. Then don't live in this area. Your life costs more than your income allows. The math never worked. You just never faced it before. The room was silent. Guests murmured. Drinks had gone untouched. Even Trevor looked shaken, realizing the truth behind Abigail's facade. Dad, please, this is my home. It was never your home. It was a gift, and gifts from me are unwelcome. Her voice broke. That's not what I said. I was embarrassed. I said stupid things. Embarrassed by me? I asked softly. Yes, but that doesn't mean I don't respect you, she said, sobbing. Abigail, I said, calm but firm, do you know what the monthly payment on this house has been? $5,000 a month for 6 years, plus the $2.5 million purchase price, plus $40,000 in medical bills I paid out of pocket for your transplant. Nearly $3 million spent on you. And tonight you tell a room full of people you wish the kidney came from someone else? Her tears fell freely now. Dad, I didn't mean it. Someone who matters just decided you can find your own housing. I walked toward the door, pausing. The new owners take possession January 15th. That's 30 days, 4 weeks, to make independent choices. But Dad, she started, you're a smart, capable adult. You can figure it out. I've given you enough to survive. Now you need to learn to live within your means. That's how adulthood works. Guests began to quietly exit, murmuring among themselves. Servers lingered, unsure whether to continue serving. Trevor and his parents walked away, silently, the tension too much to ignore. Abigail grabbed my arm, sobbing, Dad, I'm sorry. I didn't mean what I said. Abigail, I said softly, this isn't about the house. It's about our relationship. You've taken for granted everything I've given you, and you've treated it as an obligation rather than love. She looked down, ashamed. I understand now. I see it. I was wrong. Then start rebuilding, I said. Start by being honest, taking responsibility, and living authentically. That's how trust is earned, one honest conversation at a time. Her tears slowly turned to a tentative smile. Dad, thank you for everything, for letting me fall and for still being here. The Christmas party was over. The house was sold, the lessons had been learned, and for the first time in years, Abigail faced the truth and herself. The aftermath begins. Abigail must rebuild her life, face her career consequences, and learn to live authentically. Can a young woman who lost everything find her way back and repair her fractured relationship with her father?
Abigail's life crashes. Career, love, and family in shambles. After the Christmas party debacle, Abigail's carefully curated world begins to crumble. Her career, social life, and relationships are all on the line. But sometimes, hitting rock bottom is the only way to rebuild yourself and learn the value of family. Paul's small kitchen and Abigail's apartment. The next morning, my phone rang at 7 a.m. It was Tom Bradley. "Paul, the Hendersons accepted. $2.75 million, cash, 14-day close. We can sign today if you're ready." I sipped my coffee, watching the sun rise over Manhattan Beach. "I'm ready, Tom." Tom hesitated. "Are you absolutely sure? Once the earnest money is down, there's no turning back." There was no turning back the moment Abigail said she wished she'd gotten her kidney from someone who matters, I said. At 9:30 a.m., my phone began buzzing, Abigail calling again and again. By the time I walked into Tom's office, she had called 7 times. Popular. She's realizing this is real. We spent 45 minutes reviewing contracts, sale price, earnest money, non-refundable after 3 days, 14-day close. The buyers wanted a walkthrough tomorrow. Tom asked if the house would be accessible. I nodded. Abigail still had keys, but she'd cooperate. Then my phone rang again. It was Abigail. "Dad, please, we need to talk." "We talked last night, Abigail. You were clear about your feelings." "I was upset," she said. "Which things didn't you mean?" I asked. "Everything. That I was embarrassed by you, that I wished someone else had given me a kidney, that you didn't matter." "Abigail, that was honesty. It was the first time in years you admitted the truth about your feelings." She was quiet, trying to collect herself. "Dad, if you sell this house, I'll have nowhere to go." "You'll figure it out. You're smart and capable. Your salary won't cover the lifestyle you've been living, but it will cover real life." She took a deep breath. I love you, Dad." "Love isn't a feeling, Abigail. Love is a choice you make every day. For the past 2 years, you've chosen social status over family. That's not love. That's avoidance." Her tears fell, but slowly the honesty in her eyes began to shine through. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be ungrateful. I see it now." "Then start living that way. Start taking responsibility for your life, your choices, and your relationships. Trust is earned back slowly, one honest conversation at a time." Scene: Abigail's apartment, a few days later. She called again, panicked. "Dad, HR wants to see me. They're questioning my character after the party." "Abigail, you created this. Take responsibility, and it can be a learning moment. They're considering putting me on administrative leave, pending culture evaluation." "Then show them what authentic responsibility looks like. Apologize, own your mistakes, and demonstrate growth." I will," she said quietly, voice hollow. Her breakup with Trevor followed shortly after. The polished, perfect life she'd constructed was dissolving rapidly. Yet beneath the panic, a quiet transformation had begun. By December 22nd, the story had reached the local news. A reporter wanted an interview about family values and gratitude. Abigail called me, frightened. "Dad, this is going to ruin me professionally." "Only if you let it. You have a choice. Be a victim or take responsibility and rebuild." "How?" she asked. "By learning that people who love you aren't disposable, Abigail. The house was never the point. It was a symptom of a bigger issue, your disregard for genuine relationships." Christmas Eve brings a turning point. Abigail shows up at my apartment, humbled and honest, ready to face reality, and maybe start rebuilding the father-daughter relationship she'd neglected for too long.
Rebuilding trust. Abigail learns the true value of family. After losing her house, career, and social standing, Abigail finally confronts the truth about herself and discovers that love, honesty, and resilience are worth more than any luxury she once took for granted. Paul's modest Manhattan Beach condo, Christmas Eve. Abigail knocked gently. I opened the door, surprised. "Dad, can I come in?" she asked. I stepped aside. She hadn't visited in over a year. Her hair was unwashed, her clothes wrinkled. The polished woman from the party was gone. I lost my job, she said, sinking onto the couch. They said I violated core values, bringing disrepute to the company. I'm sorry, Abigail, I said calmly. I expected this. I don't know what I'm going to do. My rent is $1,800 a month. I have savings for maybe 2 months. Without references, I can't get another job at Sterling. She started crying. Dad, I'm so sorry for everything. I was selfish and ungrateful. I took everything for granted. I sat down across from her. Abigail, are you sorry because you understand your mistakes, or because of the consequences? She wiped her tears. Both. I've been sorry inside for a long time, but I was too proud to admit it. Now, I can't pretend anymore. Do you remember what you said about wishing you'd gotten your kidney from someone who matters? I asked. She closed her eyes. I remember. Do you still feel that way? For about 30 seconds, I was angry, embarrassed, and wanted to hurt you, but you were only holding up a mirror. You forced me to face reality. We sat in silence. I reminded her the house closes in 5 days. That doesn't mean we can't rebuild our relationship, I said. Her eyes lit up. Really? I didn't sell the house to punish you, Abigail. I sold it to save both of us. You were turning into someone I didn't recognize, and I was enabling it. What happens now? She asked. Now you learn to live within your means. You find a job that values your real skills. You remember what it feels like to earn instead of inherit. And as for us, trust is rebuilt slowly, one honest conversation at a time. Her tears fell again, but they were different now. Relief and understanding, not panic. Dad, thank you for the kidney, the house, everything. I should have said it years ago. It's a start, I said, smiling. 6 months later, I'm living in a modest 2-bedroom condo, walking distance from the ocean. My kidney function stabilized at 25%, manageable. Abigail has a 1-bedroom apartment, paying rent she can actually afford. We have dinner together every other Sunday, usually takeout, Chinese or pizza. Nothing fancy, just real. How was your week? I asked. Good. We landed the sustainable clothing account. They liked my ideas on authentic storytelling. Authentic storytelling, I said, smiling. Ironic, right? She laughed. Abigail has learned to laugh at herself over the past months. Her transformation is remarkable. Dad, I've been thinking about Trevor. I think he never really knew me, the real me. He only knew the fake, successful version I created to impress everyone. And what did that teach you? That real relationships can't be built on lies. Authenticity is the only way to connect with people who matter. We eat in comfortable silence, watching the sunset over the ocean. Dad, do you ever regret it? She asked. Selling the house? I regret that it was necessary, that we went through the pain. But the decision itself? No. It destroyed a life that was destroying us both. I see, she said, nodding thoughtfully. Here's what I've learned, I continued. Love without boundaries isn't love. It's enabling. Giving everything doesn't always help. Sometimes the greatest gift is letting someone fall and giving them the chance to rise. I understand now, she said softly. The kidney saved my life, but everything else you gave, values, resilience, work ethic, made life worth living. I felt tears prick my eyes. Abigail, that might be the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me. It's just the truth, she said. We finished dinner, talking about her work, my retirement plans, and the book I was thinking of writing. As she left, she hugged me tightly. "Thank you for everything, Dad, but especially for loving me enough to let me fall." I watched her go and sat on my balcony, listening to the ocean. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky orange and pink. Sometimes the greatest gift isn't money, success, or even life itself. It's the opportunity to discover who you really are when everything else is stripped away. Abigail had discovered she was stronger than either of us imagined, and I had rediscovered what it meant to be a parent who sets boundaries with love. Have you ever had to set boundaries with an ungrateful family member? Share your story in the comments. I'd love to hear it.